guys, thank you so much for joining us. You are watching SubUrban Kitchen and I'm your host Shiko. And we are going to take a journey in the world of food where we're going to try and sample different cuisines from across the continent. So, today I have some friends coming over and I thought I'm going to make for them something that's my favorite meal, cannelloni. We are going to do cannelloni with a filling of meat. So, I have my minced meat already. I had set aside yesterday. And all we're going to do with the minced meat is just going to, we're just going to fry it up and cook it because that's what we're going to do to add it to the cannelloni. In case you're wondering what the cannelloni looks like, this is cannelloni. So we have our minced meat. I'm going to get my onion here. Now the one thing that I always say about the kitchen is enjoy yourself, be creative, experiment. I certainly love to experiment in the kitchen. Sometimes I go against the rules, Of course, if you're vegetarian, do not feel left out. You can still add your vegetables if you feel like it. You can do your spinach, throw in some cheese in there, or your peas, carrots, whatever. You literally just, whatever you take to fancy that you'd like to eat. So I'm just going to chop my onions. Another thing that I like to do is to use fresh herbs. I find that fresh herbs give an extra kick to whatever meal that you're making. So for this, what I'm going to do is use my favorite, basil. Basil is used a lot in Italian kind of cuisines. You throw it on pasta or when they're making the salsas and whatnot, throw in some basil. So we have our onions already chopped up. I like to throw in garlic. Garlic is really, just gives it a nice taste as well. You have an option, you can either crush the garlic, or of course, if you're kind of in a hurry, you don't want to go through the whole process of cutting and chopping, you can get from the supermarket crushed garlic, crushed ginger, whatever you feel like throwing into your meal. I have my garlic crusher, really handy tool. All I need to do is throw in the garlic and crush it. It's also a great stress reliever sometimes. Cooking can be very therapeutic. So, when you're crushing stuff, you're also crushing some of your problems. And hopefully, by the end of it, you'll be feeling way better. And you have the added advantage of having a lovely meal to enjoy to take care of all the stress. Now, what we're going to do, when you're making the cannelloni, you want to have a sauce with it. So typically, it's usually a tomato sauce. So we're going to have our tomatoes. We're going to make our own sauce. I think the Italians really appreciate it when you can make your own tomato sauce. I'm going to roughly chop them up because when we're cooking them, I'm going to blend them so that it forms a really smooth paste of sorts. So I don't really need to chop them up too fine. Alternatively, again, if you are kind of in a hurry, you don't really want to spend too much time chopping up onions, chopping up tomatoes, you can also buy like pizza sauce or any of the sauces that you can use to make pasta. You have ragu and all those kinds. You can use that as an alternative. So here we have our tomatoes, our onions. So we're going to start preparing our mincemeat. I like using olive oil. Olive oil is healthy, it has a different taste from the usual corn oil and whatnot. And just a dash of olive oil, you don't have to put too much. And remember, we're also going to use the olive oil in our salad. So again, you don't want to have like an overwhelming amount of olive oil. So we're going to let that heat up for a bit. I have my onions here. So you want to fry that for a little bit, maybe 3 minutes. Just let it get a bit soft to the touch. And in the meantime, we have our mincemeat here. Now, of course, the quantities are entirely up to you. I'm cooking for like 4, so I've used half a kilogram of mincemeat. That should take care of my guests. And then one thing that I like to do is so that your mincemeat does not clump up. You kind of separate it when you're throwing it into the pot. Wow, I can already smell it. It already has this lovely flavor. I can smell it. You want to kind of play around with the mincemeat now so that it breaks down, it does not form clumps, so that when you're putting it in pasta, you know, it's not like chunky, it's just kind of like fluid, you know. So as you can see, it's already starting to brown. So I keep doing this until most of it is cooked, because then I know it's not going to clump up. But I will say it's coming along nicely. Usually you can start with this because it's, you know, you have to cook the mincemeat first before you put it into your pasta. And at this point again, you can start to think about what kind of spices you'd like to put in the filling. So like I mentioned, I love to use fresh herbs. My absolute favorite when it comes to pastas, anything like it, is basil. And especially fresh basil, because I find it's got a richer taste. You can use oregano, you can use thyme, marjoram, whatever it's your fancy, just enjoy. So chop it up fine, or you choose to have it rough, because you know it's gonna just get caught up in the filling. So your guests might not, they be able actually to tell like there's this particular spice in here that's really interesting, rather not spice but a herb. Again, remember to always wash your vegetables. You might have very sensitive guests, or even just general practice. It's good to wash your vegetables before you cook them. That's enough for me. Right, I'm going to check up on my mince. You can see it's cooking nicely. The beauty of this meal is that it's not really hard to make. It's just a matter of some really simple steps, getting together the different ingredients. So, getting that all cooked up. And then for your mincemeat, you don't want it to be too saucy. You'd rather have it a bit dry, because you're going to be stuffing it into the cannelloni. And of course, we're going to prepare our sauce that we're going to put on top of the cannelloni once we've laid it on the baking dish. So that will give it the softness that it is right for it. We're going to do our salt now. Just salt it a little bit. That should be enough. Give it a bit of a stir. Oh, lovely. It's already smelling so delicious. I am a fan of black pepper, so I am going to douse a bit of that black pepper. But again, like I said, the spices are completely up to you. I'm just giving you suggestions, what has worked for me. You might have some spices that you're very preferential to, rather you prefer. Some guys would like chili, so if you're feeling like chili, then knock yourself out, put some in. Okay, so that's coming nicely. We're gonna add our basil now. As you can see, there's a nice blend there of the brown with the green. So now we're just going to let it simmer for a bit to let the flavors blend together. So we leave that to cook. Now we're going to start on our sauce. So for this, all we need to do, again, just a little bit of olive oil, not too much. That's enough. Alright, so heat that. Throw in our tomatoes and garlic. What we're going to do for our tomatoes is we're going to add a little bit of water to it. A bit of some hot water. If you're feeling inspired in terms of your spices, if there's anything in particular that you really like to do, knock yourself out. What I'm going to do is just add a bit of salt to mine. Now I do have a little trick that I like my sauces a bit sweet, so I will add some sugar into it as well. About 1 teaspoon of sugar. Okay, I'm going to make it just 2. Not too much. And as you can see, we put it on high heat, so it's also, we just want to let it simmer for a bit, let the tomatoes become really soft, because we're going to blend it after this. so that it becomes the smooth paste that we talked about. I'm just going to check on our mincemeat. Aha! I can see that. Oh my word, it smells lovely. You can smell the basil. Oh, that's just delicious. I cannot wait to taste this. If you also want to put some dhania or coriander, you can do that. I do love dhania. I will be using it for this meal, but I'm going to be using it when we're making our salad. The reason why I like making this meal is, one, it's not very hard to make, and two, it's just like, I mean, once you throw it into the oven, you can forget about it for like half an hour and just let the oven do the work for you. And in the meantime, you can entertain your guests, you can have fun, just come in checking. And the thing is, the smells that will be in the house I don't think even you guys will have the patience to wait for the food. So what we're going to do now is work on our salad. We're going to be using cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes are the ones that look like cherries. They're really tiny. You can use a colander because then, the water seeps through. You just wash it, make sure there's no dirt or bugs. That would be an absolute horror story if you serve the salad and then there was a bug crawling in your salad. White onions have a bit of a different taste. This one, don't chop it up too fine, just leave it as rings. Rings is better than chopping them up into little cubes or whatnot. So there we go. Then we have our cherry tomatoes. This is going to be very simple. We chop them up as halves. Halves is fine to give it an interesting bite when you're serving the salad. There you go. So as you can see, this is essentially really simple to put together. It's just a matter of combining the ingredients. There's not much, you don't have to think too hard about the meal. And sometimes, like, if your friends are coming over for Sunday lunch and, you didn't want to do something that was too fancy, but at the same time is still tantalizing to the taste buds, then I would highly recommend to make cannelloni. And of course, just sound cannelloni makes it sound like you're making this course that's only served in France, where you have to pay like $1,000 for a plate. So I think we have enough cherry tomatoes. We're going to put a bit of our olive oil again. Just drizzle it over. Put some salt. Let's mix it up. We get another. Just mix it up a bit. Again, I'm a lover of black pepper, so I'm gonna put just a bit, to give it a small kick. Throw in our lettuce now. And then before I put this back in the fridge, just making sure I get all of the salt, the pepper, the onions, mix them up with the lettuce and the olive oil. Oh yeah, that's looking nice. We're going to do my favorite herb, that's dhania. Again, just to put your minds at ease, pre-washed. Just cut that finely. Before I do that, I think I need to check up on my, oh yes, look at that. They are lovely. You see, they've broken down now and we're getting more of our paste like. Of course, we'll get this much smoother once we blend it. Oh, but that's lovely. You can even smell the garlic. It's delicious. So we're just going to let that cook for a little bit longer. We're going to check up on our meat. Yes, that too is looking lovely. Yeah, I think it's now ready. So what we'll do is we'll switch this off, put it aside for when we put them in the cannelloni later. So we're just going to set that aside. We can now put in our coriander. There are many ways of making a salad. Of course, everyone has their own personal preferences. I mean, some people throw something sweet inside, so perhaps if you're feeling inspired, you can throw like pears, apples, whatever. Again, like I said, it's just a joy to experiment in the kitchen. Do not hold yourself back. If you're feeling like something, make it and eat it. And make it with pride. I make all my meals with pride. Call it a labor of love. So there we go. And then, final thing on the salad is vinegar. I use balsamic vinegar, but you can use whatever you like. You can use either white vinegar or red wine vinegar, apple cider if you're feeling it. But I like balsamic because I have a bit of a kick to it. So just move just a bit of it in the salad. Oh, I can even smell it. It smells lovely. And voila. So now we can focus on our sauce. I'm going to add a bit of the pizza sauce to give it a bit more volume as well. And of course the taste. So you can see how it's become really nice and thick. Of course, I mean, texture is, I think it's important to have it a bit thick enough because you're gonna paste it all over on the bottom of the baking dish and then across the pasta once you've done the fillings. Good. So as we leave that to simmer for another 5 minutes, we're going to prepare our pasta cannelloni. Now there are two ways of doing this. You can either just take the cannelloni as it is and fill it when it's still hard, or you can make them, dump them in hot water for like 3 minutes so that they're soft, just a bit soft, not too soft, because again you want it to be easy to handle when you're putting in the filling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil some water in a pan, throw the cannelloni in for like 3 minutes, and then remove them immediately, and then we can start the stuffing. So you put that to boil. So our water is all boiled up. We're going to put in our cannelloni now. Remember, you do not want to overcook them. I must emphasize this over and over again. Do not overcook the cannelloni, otherwise you're going to have a bit of a trouble when you are filling them. So there we go. The water is boiling hot. Yep, and believe it or not, that's enough. So now we're just going to drain the water. So we are almost ready with our meal. All that we're left to do now is fill the cannelloni with the mincemeat. Now the last ingredient that I want us to add to this is cheese. Now usually I'm going to mix it two. I'm going to do mozzarella, and I also have a bit of parmesan. Parmesan is to sprinkle on top once we've done laying the cannelloni on the baking dish. This, I want to put it in between the sauce. So I'll cut the mozzarella. Of course, if you're not really a fan of cheese, you do not have to do this. This is just a personal preference of mine. And what I do, I just roughly cut them into slices of sorts. They will melt together with the sauce and the cannelloni pasta when they're in the oven. And you know, mozzarella is very mild. It's a very mild kind of cheese, so won't be overpowering. So I'm pretty sure most of your guests and friends, family, whoever, will be able to enjoy this. Voila, there we are. So you want to maybe have like a napkin that you can hold the cannelloni this way, and then you start to stuff. the mince. Stuff in as much as you can. There we go. You see, we've stuffed it on both ends. So we'll just lay it there. And you're going to keep doing this until you've filled up the entire baking tray with the cannelloni. The beauty of this is, in case you wanted to make this like a fun activity for the family, you could also include the kids in terms of helping you get this meal together. I'm sure it would be a bit messy, but I can't imagine the number of laughs you guys would have in the kitchen when the kids are trying to stuff the cannelloni with the mincemeat. You know, maybe they might be more entertained in terms of wanting to also eat the food after, seeing as they had some part to play in making it. Our baking dish is getting there slowly. Still have my eye on the sauce. It'll be the last thing we add to the baking dish once we've filled up all the cannelloni. So we've got our cannelloni all set out in the baking dish. We're going to lay the cheese on top. And our sauce is ready. All we're left to do now is just blend it for a little bit. And then we're going to pour it all over the pasta and the cheese. I think that's enough. Okay, so I want to blend the sauce now. As you can see, it's looking lovely. So voila, okay. Alright, we have most of our tomato all blended up now. Smooth enough for us to use. And all you need to do is just pour it all over the cannelloni. That just looks delicious. Make sure it goes around the sides, over on top. Let's get the last bit. Just spread it all across the top. That just looks divine. I cannot wait to sink my teeth into this. Then final touch, add some parmesan on top. Boom! Your cannelloni is ready to get into the oven. So let's put that in. Leave it in the oven for the oven to do its work. And in the meantime, I say we go and get the table ready. So some great news, our meal is ready and my guests have told me that they are almost on their way here. So I'm just going to get their table ready for them. The house smells like heaven has just happened in here. I'm pretty sure this meal is going to be nothing short of delightful. The pasta is ready, our salad is ready, so I'm going to lay out our plates here. Oops, daisy. Like I said, this is a really simple meal to make. As you've seen, most of the work was just a bit of preparation. But then of course, the bulk of work is now done in the oven. The pasta is all baked. It's nice and bubbly. It's gonna look amazing. It's always good to set your table. Make sure it looks appeasing to the eye because sometimes people are moved by what they see. So if you set a nice pleasant table, most likely your guests will be more than eager to have a great experience eating the food that you've prepared for them. So let me bring out the pasta and the salad. This is a meal that you want to cook so that your friends and family will be super envious of you because they think like, how did you do that? The secret is, it was really very simple to do. I'm feeling like I should be winning an award for something because just from the way it looks, it certainly looks like it deserves like some 10 awards or something like that. I cannot wait to try this, guys. So now, last thing is, let's get our salad and get some drinks on and then let the party start. Here's our salad I'll just do it a little bit, turn it up, make sure the juices are all settled in, and that is ready to be served. We're going to be celebrating with a little bit of wine. Usually for my pastas, I like to do either a dry wine or semi-sweet. Of course, be conscious of what your guests would like. Of course, I'm not saying you cannot have this just without wine. You can also have this with juice, with soda, anything that tickles your fancy. And there you have it, a complete meal. This was really easy to do, and I bet you it's also going to taste fabulous. I'd really like to hear from you. If you tried this recipe or you have your own ideas, please write to us and let's hear what you have to say.